You're listening to the Awkward High Five podcast. You can follow along in your book. You'll know it's time to turn the page when you hear the chimes ring like this.
All right. Hi. Thanks. Welcome to our podcast, for which we don't have a name for yet. We're going to have to try to figure that all out.
I thought we were going with Sued by Bear vs. Shark in 5 seconds.
we might be sued by Bear vs. Shark. That's I don't know if we're allowed to use that song, but that song's cool as hell. I mean, I guess the thing with that song is we use it for everything. Whenever somebody makes a big announcement or somebody gets married or anything like that, that song comes up because it's such a good song. So if this podcast gets popular and Bear vs. Shark hears that, please don't sue us. We're just fans of your band. I don't even know if they're even out there anymore. Or Equal Vision, we should say. Equal Vision, don't sue us, please.
Do you remember when we played with them and we were at the bar across the street and they were like wrestling and dropping elbows on each other? And like, look at these fucking hillbillies like dropping legs on each other. Then they just got on stage and ripped the shit out of it.
Oh, yeah. That was the first time that I ever heard them play.
Mm-hmm. That was awesome.
I was crazy sick that day. Remember? I think I went home afterwards or something like that. All right. So anyway, this is our podcast. My name is Devin.
I'm Rich.
That's Rich. Are you going to go by Rich on this, or are you going to go by Richie?
We'll go by Richie.
We need something for the billing. Yeah. So my name is Devin. That's Richie. We are in our mid-30s, a bunch of gentlemen, and we've been friends for how long?
30 years.
30 years we've been friends. Not so much the last couple of years, though. We've been, we're friends always, but we haven't talked to each other in a while.
I disappeared for a little while.
You did disappear for a little while. And over the course of this podcast, we're going to get in touch with that and stuff about myself, too. I guess the concept of this podcast is just two dudes who are really good friends who've done a lot of stuff with each other in life.
And we're going to talk about that stuff.
Yes, all of that. And the trials and tribulations, and then just through the magic of podcast land or whatever this is, we're going to attempt to maybe straighten ourselves out and become friends again through talking through this. So hopefully that's interesting enough. I think it's going to be.
That sounds very nice.
Does that sound good?
Mm-hmm.
I just made that up off the top of my head. No, that is that is the mission statement, though. That totally is the mission statement of this podcast. So we'll get into each other's shit after that. You know, I want this first episode to be like nice and we could rehash a little bit and stuff. It'll get heavy-handed, I guess. We'll have to talk about things. We're both. I think it's fair to say that both of us are kind of in a weird caveat or I don't know, downtime in life.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
I mean, I guess I could be honest about where we're doing this first podcast from, which is kind of embarrassing, but it's we for anybody who doesn't know us, we were born and raised in a town called Hazlet, New Jersey. It's in Central Jersey. It's a beach town. And although we've done our things and we've moved on and all that stuff because of certain things in our life now. I mean, we're both basically been back here. I've been back here for a little bit. You've been, in and out and all that stuff. So right now, because of lack of places to do this podcast, we're literally doing it from my father's music studio in my parents' house.
I love it here.
Which is the house that I grew up. I know you love it here. I mean, this house used to be like a party house, so everybody, and everybody's cool. Anybody who's like staying with their parents always says the same thing. Oh, but they're cool. And my parents are cool, but they're not 35 years old, live with cool. You know what I mean? It's only been a few months, so I'm not being crazy about it. It was the right thing to do. But anyway, this is stuff that we'll get in. We'll do the whole rise and then fall of us, and then hopefully bring it back together. And then eventually, I mean, we can only talk about that for so long, and then we'll do stuff. Maybe we'll come up with some skits or bits or whatever the fuck you call it.
Well, I'm asking if I can sleep over tonight, so we'll be doing this all night.
You're going to have to call your mom with that high-pitched voice.
I was just thinking about that.
When Richie was a kid, we would be hanging out, and he'd be like, fuck this and fuck that. I fucking, this fucking broad. And then he'd be like, yo, you know what? I think let's sleep over. And I'd be like, all right, cool, call your mom. And this is like when we were like 15. And he would be like, yeah, I'll fucking call my mom. I'm going to fucking sleep over. And then he'd call his mom. And he'd be like, Mom, it's Richie.
I could do it for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Ready? Yeah, I'm gonna call my mom. I'm sleeping over tonight. Fuck this shit. Let's get fucked up. I'm calling my mom. Call my mom. Ring.
Hello?
Hey, Mom. Hey. It's Richie. Can I sleep over at Dev's house tonight? Come on, tell me you wouldn't let me sleep over at Dev's house tonight.
There's no way I could say no to that. There's no possible way I could say no to that.
Nowadays, we could call that the girlfriend voice. Cause,
you still do that?
I still do it. Yeah.
Wow. I don't want to see. We have to explain everything on this. We can't like just talk about it. But we were talking I was in DC over the weekend or 2 weekends ago, and we were talking about people fighting on the phone. And I obviously was talking about you and Jackie. For the listener at home, Richie, and I'm sure we'll talk a lot about Jackie. It's a very interesting subject.
Why not?
But Richie had this crazy ass girlfriend in high school, and they used to fight on the phone all the time. And I used to be in his room, just listening to the conversations, just losing my mind.
Everyone was subjected to this.
Yeah, pretty much
in school,
everybody.
Before school, and out of school.
I was talking. We were also talking about how she used to like we'd just be in a classroom and she'd just come running in, or sometimes like we'd be in the classroom in high school and there would be like the window in the door, and then you would just see her floating head staring in the window and shit, and you'd be like, oh shit. She was So we'll talk about her later. I guess maybe we can't use. Well, I guess we could use first names. We can't use last names because if we were to continue to talk about her and her path in life, I mean,
I mean, we'll use first names, and then maybe people that are still like currently involved, maybe we could use code names or initials.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
That rhyme with names.
Right. Yes. I don't know if Jackie even would know how to even find iTunes or a podcast or anything like that, so it doesn't matter. All right, so we don't have a name for this yet. I mean,
it's gonna pop up in the window
right now.
I'm scared.
I'm not. I always enjoyed it. You're the one that had to deal with that.
Seriously.
What was I gonna say? So we don't have a name really, and I guess we're gonna figure that out. This is the first thing that we're recording. We're probably gonna record a few more. And then hopefully by that time we'll have more of a format and a name and all that stuff. And then I'll put, once we have a decent amount of episodes or whatever, I'll put them up. And I don't know. I think that's the way to do it. So the people who are listening could download a few at a time. And then as far there's a couple things that we don't know. We're kind of just doing this off the top of our heads right now. We don't really know how long it's going to be. I mean, it could just be a 20-minute show. It could be an hour-long show. It depends on how much we could bullshit and be entertaining and talk about stuff. And the frequency of when we're going to do it, if it's going to be twice a week, once a month, I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know if you have any ideas about that. Or
I still got to get a computer.
Yeah.
And once I get my computer, and then I'll listen to it, and then we'll decide.
That's another thing that the listening audience needs to know about Richie is he is completely technologically unadvanced, which means do you have like a flip phone, or do you have a smartphone?
It's kind of smart. I don't use it for anything smart.
Is it a burner?
Yeah, it's a burner. It's a burner. It came free with my first microwave.
When we were children, going back to this, see, these are things that we need to work up to. But
no, it's all right. They'll pick it up.
Yeah. All right. So when we were children, Richie, not only Richie, but his whole family, his mom and his grandparents he lived with, and his brothers, like didn't have any technology whatsoever. I remember.
I think we had a Commodore 64.
No, I don't. Did you? No, I don't think you did, because I remember you got a
128D.
A word processor.
I had one of them.
Yeah,
brother.
Yeah, but which was like a word processor is cool and everything, but it was like after computers had come out,
so it was on sale.
People were like getting in the first like tastes of America Online and shit, and you're like, I got this word processor, and it was like that computer that Doogie Howser types into at the end of every episode.
It was.
And
it had that little like 2x2 screen. I'd be squinting like typing away.
That's fucking funny as hell. Yeah. So the microwave. That's what I was getting at. So yeah. So you could tell the story. This is your life.
Yeah. Well, we pretty much didn't get a microwave until like 98, 99. And everyone would rip on me because they'd come over and we'd make snacks at like 2:00 in the morning, and we'd be throwing pizza rolls in the oven. We'd be sleeping by the time they were ready. And then I got my first microwave, and we had a little party for it. My whole family was still calling it the science oven.
Oh yeah, you relate to that movie.
I saw that part and I flipped out. I was like, "Oh my god, that's probably what they called it."
Yeah, so Richie got a science oven way, like seriously to the point where like they were almost becoming obsolete at that point. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we were stunned, and you were proud. The whole family was proud of the microwave oven.
It was like a whole week of everyone patting me on the back, like, "Welcome to the new millennium."
Everyone was worried about Y2K, and Richie finally got his microwave.
I was worried it was going to blow up.
But then the treats at the Giuliano household after that were delectable and quick.
There was a lot of treats there. She always kept it stocked. Many pizza rolls.
You sound good, by the way. You're I don't know how to ask this without getting into too much, but you're doing good today?
Am I healthy? Yes, I'm very healthy. Yeah.
Okay, good. You're
Feeling
crystal
healthy.
clear. The eyelids are open. I like this. All right, so, well, I guess we should start at the very, very beginning, and that would be when we first met each other, right? So I moved. That was a really good idea, you getting 2 beers, because now I'm going to, at some point during this podcast, you're going to have to talk for 2 minutes while I run
think
outside.
I could do that.
No, this is a 50-50 thing here. Yeah. And it'll be good for both of us, because I will get 2 for myself and 2 for you. And,
All right, cool. I was thinking that.
and so good. Already planning the beers. 11 minutes in, we're already planning the beers. All right. So I was born in 1980. You were also born in 1980, and you were born where?
Brooklyn, NY.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Brooklyn, NY.
Where in Brooklyn?
Where was I born? It was Victory Memorial Hospital. I don't even know if it exists. I heard like a bunch of people got AIDS there, and I think they closed it down. But that's what it was called when I was born there.
Okay, I didn't need the hospital. I just needed the town, but I like it. I like it.
I don't know like what section of Brooklyn. I know.
Well, wherever it is, I guarantee you, it's just all expensive and kids with beards and all that now.
Seriously, I always think like if I still lived there and I sold that house today.
Well, that's a lot of people who had that. And in my town, in downtown Jersey City, where I have been for the last half a decade or whatever, it's the same thing. Like a lot of people, they like just got these brownstones that were handed down from generations to generations to generations, which were never worth shit. They weren't worth anything. And then all of a sudden, this boom happened. I mean, it's been gradual since after 9/11, but in the last few years, I mean, just even living there, it has gotten so expensive. And then people are just, now these people who are like janitors and whatever, you know what I mean? Are just selling these brown
janitors.
Well, I don't know, like regular dudes.
Bunch of random janitors.
Yeah, right. Bunch of, well, I mean, the brownstones are clean at least then. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not running down janitors. I don't even have a fucking job. I can't make fun of anybody. I'm just saying regular middle class dudes who have these brownstones in what used to be a shitty neighborhood. Then all of a sudden, everybody moved in, started making it better, and now they're selling them for millions of dollars and going on to enjoy good lives.
They don't even call Bed-Stuy anymore. It's now Stuyvesant Heights.
Yeah, well, yeah, right. Well, it's always right. It's always been what is it? Bed-Stuyvesant, right? And that, I mean, even a few years ago, that was when I was looking in Brooklyn. Like that was still. I have a friend of mine who lives there, or who did live there, and it was shitty, man. Like the place was nice, or whatever, but the neighborhood was pretty shitty, and it was like one of those deals where he can only pay his rent in cash, like, you know what I mean?
Where,
like,
in Bed-Stuy?
In Bed-Stuy, yeah. But now, even in the past year, it's like now Bed-Stuy is even, and Bed-Stuy is so far away from the city. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's a pain in the ass to get in the city from Bed-Stuy. But now you're not getting an apartment in Bed-Stuy for. I don't know for sure, but it's probably in the $2,000 range, which is
no doubt the cheapest.
It's weird to keep talking into the mic, or pull it down a little bit. You can't do that. It's gonna make a noise, but yeah, it's weird to live through, and I guess we're just experiencing this because we're now like fast approaching middle age and or, I know
stop saying
I know whatever, it's true. We still got 5 years. 40's middle age, so we still have 5 years to be complete fuck ups.
On the dark side of 30.
Yeah, it sucks. Well, today I did a survey today. I'm not going to tell you what it's about because it's embarrassing, but I did a survey and they had to you had to do your age range. So there was 29 to 34 or 25 to 34 and then 35 to 44 and I had to click that 35 to 44, man, and a tear dropped. A tear fucking dropped for
the
it.
new bracket.
It's insane.
Scary.
How quick. Yeah.
And then you start doing weird shit, like you associate time with other things, like, well, the distance it took me to get from college to the time I was getting fucked up at the bar is about the time it's going to take for me to get from now until I'm about dead. You know? And you start making those associations with time.
Right.
Like,
well,
damn, it goes quick.
Yeah, I always say that because high school, right? I mean, I don't know about for you, but I'm going to guess this is pretty fucking universal, is that high school, when you were a freshman going into high school, it felt like those next 4 years were going to take forever. Yeah. And they did. Even looking back on it in hindsight, those 4 years from freshman year to senior year was a long time in my life, you know? Like, literally, I see that sticks out kind of in a way that, like, if I was to look at, like, pretty much all of my 20s, or let's say 25 to now, let's say the last 10 years, it seems like high school was the same amount of time, you know what I mean? Like, it's weird. But I guess what it is, well, go ahead, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, I think it's, you know, what seems more eventful seems like a longer amount of time. Like, when you're really young, time seems like forever, like a year is forever, 2 years is forever. Because you're constantly doing things, every day you're spending outside, when am I going to do the next thing, what's exciting to you, and the same thing with high school, you know what I mean, like, you're hanging out with this group, that group, this girl, that girl, changing classes, new grades, things are changing, and it's just so eventful that time just seems longer, you know what I mean, like, it just seems like, so it's so eventful that that was such a great amount of time, and then when you're older and you're doing less shit, it's a whole year goes by and it's like, what the fuck, who gives a shit, like nothing even happens.
But I mean, normally when you do more shit, then time goes quicker, doesn't it? Like if you're sitting,
I was just thinking, like, there's more, you remember more, like there's more memories involved with that 1 year, so that year seemed like oh my god, this happened, that happened, this happened, like so many things happen in 1 year that you're like.
Right. No, I get it. I think, I'm sure we're just talking about this like we know what we're talking about. I'm sure there's some scientific fucking term out there for why this happens. I think my theory on it is that it's the amount years are related to the amount of years that you've lived. So like when you're 1 year old, like the time that it takes you to get from 1 to 2 is half of your life. You know what I mean? So when you get in,
makes a lot of sense.
when you get into high school, you're 14 years old. You've only lived 14 years. So the next 4 years is a big chunk of your life. When you add all that up to 18, you know what I mean? That's it's almost a quarter of your life or whatever it is. So that's going to be a long time. By the time you get to be our age, years friggin' blast by, because it's like, all right, that's like nothing, you know what I mean? Now a year is 1/35 of our fucking life, and it just goes really quick and it sucks. Those are the things, and now we're completely off the topic of when we met. We'll get to that. But those are the things that...
Who is that on that shirt?
Oh, I have no idea. I think it's one of the New Kids on the Block or something.
No, it's not. None of them are black.
Is he black?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm wearing a Get Up Kids shirt, the band the Get Up Kids, which is one of our favorites, and it's a very
it's a black dude.
It's a very flamboyant shirt. It's a white shirt with a bunch of pink and yellow writing, and it's just a picture of some guy, and it says "Stay tough, love the Get Up Kid." I don't know. I think I got it with one of their CDs. Like, it was like pre-order the CD, and
it's a black dude wearing a NASCAR hat, which is like throwing me off.
Dude, you have looked at this shirt in the last 3 seconds more than I've ever looked at it, and I think I've had it for like 5 years.
And he's giving the finger.
Yeah, and he says, "Stay tough."
With a heart.
With a heart.
I'm so confused at this T-shirt.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess now I'm gonna have to take a picture of the shirt and put it up on the website. So when this finally airs, you guys can go and look at the shirt. I don't know. I just threw it on. But the Get Up Kids are a great band. Wait, so now I'm totally off topic. Now you hit me with the shirt.
That's all right.
Oh no, this is what I was talking about. Is the shit at our age. The shit that, and you know what, we might be like a case of Arrested Development. I think about that sometimes, like maybe I'm not maturing as much as other people, because like sometimes I'll read shit about, and I'm not talking about socioeconomically or anything like that, but I'm talking about like sometimes I'll read shit about people and they'll be like, yeah, and when I was 24 I realized that I have to, you know, I had an epiphany and I realized that life was about this and blah blah blah. I mean, when I didn't realize shit when I was 24. Like, when I look at 24, I literally look at myself at 24, and I feel the same way as if I look at myself when I was 12. I don't think there really was much of a development. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, I was older and was self-functioning at that point. You know, like had an apartment and a job and whatever the hell was going on. But like, I mean, I didn't really sit down and think about life. Or, well, this is what I want to get to: is the things when you're younger that you just don't think is going to happen to you. You know what I mean? So like when you're younger so when you're like 15 years old and you see somebody who's our age now or even earlier, younger, even like 28, like remember when you're 15 and you saw somebody in their late 20s, like you thought they were old ass men. Yeah. And then those people, like your cousins or your uncles or whatever, will start telling you shit about life, and in your mind you're just like, yeah, that's cool. It sucks for you, dude, but it's never going to happen to me. You know what I mean? Like, fucking whatever, getting fat, losing your hair, fucking impotence, all this shit, dying, like, you know what I mean? Like, all these things. When you're a kid, you think like, yeah, well, yeah, that sucks. That happened to you, but that's not going to happen to me. You know what I mean? And now at our age, or especially for me now, it's like I'm starting to I mean, I've realized that, obviously. I don't mean to say that like now at 35 I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna die. Like, I had that grace period, but I think more and more, I should say more and more, I'm starting to experience that. You know what I mean? Where it's like, now I gotta watch what I fucking eat. Now I gotta fucking go exercise. Yeah, you know what I mean? Now I am losing my hair. You know what I mean? Like shit like that.
It's what you worry about. You know what I mean? Like what concerns you. You know what I mean? Like, when you're young, nothing really concerns you, so you don't think about it, you know? So it's not really something that's even on your mind. It'll flash by your head, and then you won't think about it twice. You know?
Yeah, but you don't...
I never did. I don't think I am yet. I don't know.
Not even yet? You don't...
Stay young.
You don't think... You just don't ever think that and I wonder if there is somebody out there like the nerdy kid who's like doing fucking like equations and shit, and he's like sitting there going like, well, one day I am gonna die, so I need to start taking my vitamins and shit now. Like, there might be a kid like that.
People do that shit.
I've never met anybody like that. Nobody we grew up was ever like that. We were the exact opposite. We would just like do shit in the face of death.
Right.
Because
that's what I'm thinking about.
Because we just, you know what I mean? And dying doesn't need to be the main example or whatever, but...
Well, I think, you know, over the course of our lives, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate, is that, like, we sort of developed, like, this false sense of security in life or safety or something, because, you know, things that we've done to, like, you know, flirt with death almost. You know what I mean? Like, not to sound weird or anything, but, like, you know, I guess it kind of revolves around getting fucked up. You know what I mean? Like, how much we drank and things we did while we were drinking. You know what I mean?
Sure,
and
yeah.
Like, you know, like, say, like, when we went on tour, you know what I mean? Like, you know, we were in a band, we went on tour, and things we did on the road where we just had a false sense of security. You know what I mean?
Well, like, even just driving around in that broke ass van with like yeah,
beers.
We're all like five of us are asleep in the back while one of us is driving 90 miles an hour from Ohio to Florida,
burning weed constantly. A styrofoam cooler full of tall Miller Lights, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, that's how everybody lived in the 70s. Wait, let me step back real quick just so I could tell the listeners. We've already referenced the band thing a couple times.
I don't want to get into it, but...
Yeah, no, and that's a big part of our life, and we'll talk about that later. But me and Richie is a... What do you? What
I'm a Cancer. I'm a drummer.
Richie's a drummer, and I am a guitar. I guess you could call me a guitarist. I think I consider myself more of a songwriter than anything.
That's what I was gonna go with.
Yeah, I'm a songwriter who can handle his own when it comes to guitar and singing, and that's what we did for years, from the time we were 14 to we were in our late 20s. We wrote music together, and when we traveled and we played the music and whatever, and we'll talk about that in further episodes. But so that's that's the thing. I mean, but I think now, so you're talking about drinking and driving and getting fucked up and driving. I think everybody did that in their, right.
And all the stuff we did, you know what I mean, like. When we were, I thought about it a lot when we were on tour. We would just go park in a random parking lot somewhere.
Right.
Just do crazy shit.
Well, I mean, I guess if you're going to do crazy shit in a random parking lot, it would be a safe place to do it. But yeah, you're right about it. I remember one time we were here, again, we were at my parents' house in our home beach town where we grew up. And it was like a birthday party or some shit. And my dog at the time bit one of my uncles like pretty bad and like ripped up his arm. So in the middle of this party, it was like a big to-do. Everybody was freaking out. So we threw my uncle in the car, and my mom's whole family is from Manayunk, Philly, which is like, I don't know how it is now because Philly's kind of gentrified too. But back in the day, it was a pretty fucking rough town, and they're all just a bunch of bruisers and drinkers and ex-cops and ex-firemen and, like fucking... like a Ben Affleck Boston movie or some shit, you know what I mean? Like those kind of guys. And so my uncle is, we have to drive him to the hospital because he's like bleeding from a fucking vein and shit. And his son, who is like my cousin, but he's like 20 years older than me or whatever, he's like, I'm coming, he's these Philly guys. He's like, I'm getting in a car, and fucking comes with a cooler just full of fucking beers. And this is like, in the late 90s, maybe the early 2000s, so it's like definitely past the time of driving around in your Camaro with the trunk full of beers, like Dazed and Confused style, you know what I mean? And we drove my uncle to the hospital, and the whole time my fucking cousin is just in the back crushing beers. Like the hospital's like, I don't know, how far is the Bayshore from here?
5 minutes.
Yeah, a 10-minute drive. Dude drank like 6 beers on the way to the hospital, was like drinking, But yeah, so I guess what I'm getting at there is that every year shit gets safer. I have no idea how we even got on this after.
I don't know.
But yeah, every year shit gets safer and safer. And even kids now, even being back in this neighborhood, which is weird. When we were kids in this neighborhood, we would just walk the streets and we would smoke weed, or we would listen to music or whatever. We were never home. And I know we sound like a bunch of old dudes now, and I'm not saying anything like whatever. These kids staying home on their computers or whatever, watching porn and getting fucked up, and that's cool. But I don't see anybody walking these streets anymore. You know what I mean?
The highlight of our day would be walking through a little sketchy bridge in our neighborhood and just sitting on it.
Like the footbridge.
Yeah, go sit on a bridge.
Yeah, right. And that shit just does not happen anymore. But there's also like a whole safety thing. Like I don't have children. You don't have children.
Not that I know of.
But yeah, sure. I mean, I guess it's a possibility. But a lot of our friends have children that are now a little bit older than like the infant stage, And there's just shit. There's like concerns that our parents didn't have about us, even just like you can't just as far as I know, you can't just like let your kid go play, like here, open a door, go outside and play. If it's like outside, you have to like be with them. And
that's like a law.
I don't know if it's a law, but I think it's like a general consensus of the community.
Oh my god.
Yeah, which is crazy. So like you can't be like let's say like around the corner, like let's say Severett's house. Okay, so nobody knows who Severett is, but Severett is a dude who I grew up with who lives around the corner from where we are right now, and I'm pretty sure he's there. I'm pretty sure we could walk to Severett's house right now and he would be there working on a truck or whatever.
Yeah, definitely.
But when I was a kid, I was able to walk outside and walk down the street and walk to Severett's house. It wasn't far, maybe like a 5-minute walk, not even. And everything was cool. But now if you let your kids do that in suburbia without you being with them, it's like a big deal. Like parents get pissed about it and shit, which is weird. Okay, so we got to get off of this.
I'm still fascinated by bike helmets.
Like, oh, yeah.
That still blows my mind.
I know.
Screw that shit.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's a big thing.
Yeah.
you have to wear helmets. I don't get it. Although there was a traumatic bike incident in my life that probably would have been thwarted if I wore a helmet. I think that and okay, so again for the millionth time this episode, I'm going to say that we'll talk about that later. But I literally, and when we get to this part of the episode, when we get whatever episode of this podcast that we get to this part of my life, this incident that happened on this bike, I just want to, whoever's listening, to remember now that I literally think that changed the trajectory of the rest of my life. I seriously do. I think I think the head trauma that I sustained that day, I'm not going to say it fucked me up because I'm not like an invalid or anything like that, but like I think it was like a source of a lot of I don't know, like my anxiety and stuff that I had. Therefore,
really?
Yeah. Well, we'll get to that anyway. So all right. So
that was crazy shit.
I know.
I want to talk about that now.
No, we have to stay on some sort of time. This can't be like, oh, the friends trying to get back together and let's just talk about anything, anytime. Like sooner or later, I'll get to that. But so I was born in Wildwood, New Jersey, which is like a super beach town. That's where my grandparents lived. I was born in 1980 as well, and moved around with my family a little bit. My dad's a professional musician, and he was trying to make things work. So we lived in like Yonkers and Staten Island and stuff like that. Finally came to Hazlitt, New Jersey, in 1983 when I was 3 years old. And so then we went to elementary. So we met each other in kindergarten, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I came like halfway through the year is when I moved to Jersey.
Do you remember the first day that we ever met each other?
Yeah, I do. I definitely do.
All right, okay.
My long-term memory is fabulous. You're hearing a lot of throwbacks.
Here's the part where you're going to expand on this, and I'm going to run and get beer. So talk slowly and succinctly for the crowd, and I will be right back.
All right, so here goes. So I moved to Jersey in '85 from Brooklyn, and like any kid's first day of school, you don't want to go. You're crying, especially when you're 5 years old, going into kindergarten. And I went to kindergarten in Brooklyn. It was like a couple stories high, having to climb stairs, like a lot of kids, And then I roll up to Cove Road School in Hazlitt, and I feel like I'm in Hicksville, USA, and I don't know where I'm at. I'm scared. And, you're crying. You're a little kid. So my mom carries me into the hallway. Thanks. My mom carries me into the hallway, give me a little pep talk, trying to get me to go into school. So I finally go into the classroom, and the teacher says there's one extra seat right next to Devin. And so there I go. Sat right there in the seat. And here we are today.
Wait, you're totally burying the lead there.
What did I bury?
Wait, did you talk about how you cried?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Numerous times.
But you cried. You sat down. We were sitting. Was it seats? I thought we were sitting in a circle. I thought we were sitting on the ground.
No, we were sitting in seats. You guys were making some type of hat or some shit.
Oh, okay. But I remember what happened is they were like, the teacher was like, sit down next to Devin because there was an open seat, and you sat down and you sat down right next to me, and I looked over at you like kind of like to say hi or whatever, and you just started bawling, crying.
I was crying the whole time.
Like I was like,
I want to be there.
I was like, what's up, dude? And you were just like, "Blah," and I was like, fuck, what's wrong with me? I was trying to be nice to this dick, and and then all right, so that's that story. All right, so I guess I'm gonna have to explain this too. Is that I have a horrible memory, and Richie has an amazing memory. So as we look back on these things in these first couple episodes, his take on it is probably a lot better than mine, because I don't know why my memory gets all messed up. My whole life, I would have to ask Richie like when my anniversaries with my girlfriends were, and he would like know.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, and I think about that sometimes now. Sometimes, do you ever have this thing happen to you? You ever have this thing where you're like, you just wake up and you look at the date and you know that this date used to mean something in your life, but you don't know for what reason now, like.
All the time.
Yeah, it's really weird. And then you go back and you're like, okay, was this an anniversary? Was this a birthday? Was this a blah, 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 blah? Like all that shit. And like, you just don't know. It's all jumbled.
I never figure it out, but like just looking at the number with the name of the month, you're like, that is definitely something, but I never figure it out.
Yeah, it's hard to do.
But yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
But anyway, you were much better at that. Okay, so yeah, we met each other. Richie was a crying little bitch.
Mm-hmm.
I was I wasn't much better. It's not like I was some tough guy.
You were all settled in class.
I was a very sensitive child, I would say. But we started hanging out like shortly after that, right? Like we were pretty tight from there.
Yeah, just kids in elementary school hanging out, and then then once we were allowed to like leave the block, you know what I mean? Like, because my mom would drop me off here, or your mom would drop you off at my house, like
yeah, right.
You made me piss my pants with the My Pet Monster thing, and I was like, shit, I gotta hang out with this dude. He made me piss my pants.
Was that okay? So, but also, you pissing your pants wasn't the hardest goddamn thing in the world. Like, you were kind of a pants pisser.
Yeah, I was a pisser.
It's not like I was like breaking out my A material, and you were like, it really took a long time for you to piss pants.
Try and piss.
We threw
come on, give me more.
We threw a stuffed animal down the fucking stairs, and that was it.
Yeah, that's.
If you guys remember, if you at home listening to this remember, my pet monster, which was a doll. I shouldn't say a doll. It was a stuffed animal, but it had it was a weird. I think there was even a cartoon for a while. And if anybody,
there was
anybody under the age of, I don't know, 30 is or listening to this right now, you probably have no idea what we're talking about.
Right, that thing didn't last.
It didn't last long. It was around. It was like around the time of the WWF, like Pillow Pals or Pillow Buddies.
It was before that.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, it was like a good 5 years before that.
Okay.
This is like 85.
Right.
Definitely 85, 86 was My Pet Monster's heyday, I guess.
So you had a My Pet Monster, which I was jealous about because I didn't have a My Pet Monster.
I got that on Christmas. I was loving that thing.
And it was like it was like a monster, but the thing was it had the handcuffs, remember? And you could clip the handcuffs and then break the handcuffs away.
Yeah. Oh, that was awesome.
Yeah. So we were in Richie's house and Richie's mom's house, and we were throwing it down the stairs, and it would just like land in different positions and look stupid.
But then you yanked the nose down, and his eyes went up, and then I just started pissing everywhere.
And that's when I knew.
And then you just took off. I think I pissed my pants, and like your mom beeped horn outside. You were like, "Yo, peace." I'm just sitting in a puddle of piss.
I was like, man, I don't know about that fucking kid. He's fucking
He's pissed everywhere.
I made a stuffed animal look weird, and he pissed his fucking pants. But yeah, that's what happened. That's when I knew that I was destined for comedy. Was when I pushed my little pet monster's fucking nose down.
That was funny as hell. I could picture that.
And we used to do which I can imagine like everybody did. But remember, we used to do those fights in your room where we would like tip the couch over and do and like throw shit at each other all the time.
Oh yeah, definitely. I remember in my room, like I would be in the little back room. And I had like, remember those little, like everyone had one of these too. It was like the real mini, I don't know how anyone even played with it, but the real mini pool tables.
Oh yeah, I remember that with like the tiny pool and like even the stick was like tiny.
Yeah,
as
like
shit.
How small do you have to be to play that game? Like, I don't even think midgets would have fun playing that game. It's like it's so tight, like it's so close. But like I had one of those in my room.
Now I'm just thinking about midgets around it. Like they would need a smaller pool instead of like a step stool. They would just need a smaller pool area.
They wouldn't even enjoy that thing. It was so small.
Not even midgets would enjoy this.
Mm-mm. Well, yeah, we would like jump behind that thing, and like throw shit at each other, and then
I
like,
remember that.
But we really like started hanging out every day. When I started like sleeping over, because I would hit Mom with the voice, and I would like start sleeping over every weekend, and we would like draw up the Stickman comics, which I was like thinking about the other day. I was like, man, we should start writing those Stickman again.
I found a Stickman comic. I think it was the last one ever. I have a.
They're probably yellow, right? Like.
No, I think it was still pretty white. I don't know, but this is a comic book. Anybody listening to this right now is like, all right, these dudes are just talking about when they were kids and they didn't do anything interesting. But I promise you that we're getting somewhere with this. This is just this is just letting you know who we were and we're just talking about when we were kids. But we used to draw a Stickman comic, but we were older when we did that, right?
Probably like 10, 11.
Yeah, so that's fast forwarding a little bit. I mean, I guess there really wasn't much to talk about from like 5 to like 10 or 11.
That's what I mean.
It was just kids hanging out and shit.
Because when you're just like 7 years old, this is kind of far. You know what I mean? I wasn't allowed to come this far on my bike. You know what I mean? Like I said, we would get dropped off, by our parents, just hang out for a little bit.
Yeah, you lived in what was considered the, I guess, for lack of a better term, the other side of the tracks, even though there wasn't tracks. But there's two
side of the footbridge.
Yeah, there's two neighborhoods and it's divided by what's called the footbridge. And when we were very young, kids in my neighborhood very rarely went to the other side of the footbridge and vice versa or whatever. That's all that is. So wait, so what were you saying about the
yeah, I was just saying, you know what I mean? That's when we started hanging out all the time once we started.
Oh, the Stickman comics though. Yeah. So we started drawing, and I think that was probably when we first realized that we could be like creative with each other.
I was just thinking that, yeah.
Was we started drawing, and neither of us were really into comic books. I mean, I guess I was a little bit more into comic books than you were. I like collected them a little bit. It was just
hilarious.
Yeah, but we started drawing our own comic book, which I guess not very creatively was a Stickman, but because we just couldn't fucking draw, and all we wanted to do was get jokes out. And basically, what it was, if I could find any of these Stickman comics, I swear that I'll somehow scan them and put them up on the website.
Do you remember the very origin of Stickman?
No. Tell me,
it
please.
was in Miscali's art class, and you weren't even drawing comics. You were just drawing like one like single picture, like Stickman in certain scenarios. And I just remember one of them. You did a couple of them, but I just remember one. And you know, he was a superhero and he saved people and shit. But one of them was Stickman at the beach. But like a plane was going down, but he was just laying next to like a stick chick. You know what I mean? And instead of saving the plane, he's just sitting there with his hands behind his head and says, "Screw it." And I was dying. I was like, "Yo, we got to make that a comic."
I vaguely remember that now. Why was I so I don't know, so thought forward at that time?
I don't know where you came up with the actual Stickman, but then you were.
Oh, it's just because I couldn't fucking draw.
I was just a Stickman with the
I bet you
tie.
I bet you that chick had big tits though.
Yeah, it was a stick chick with big tits. Yeah. Big circle tits over her stick body.
Miscali, that's another thing. See, you can't just throw names out there without explaining it to people that are going to be listening to this. But
sued by Bear Shark and Miscali.
And Miscali has got to be dead. That motherfucker's got to be dead.
You know what? I said that about Bob from La Bamba, and he's alive.
But he's a Hollywood actor.
No, the real.
Oh, the real.
yeah, Bob
Richie
Morales.
Valens' brother.
Yeah.
He's still alive?
He's alive and well.
He's got to be like 90.
He's like late 70s, I think, or that's in 2011 he was in his late 70s. I checked. I was curious.
You looked up his Wikipedia?
Yeah, because I was like, this dude had to die young, you know what I mean? But he had like a gray mohawk and he works on motorcycles and he went through some shit, but he's alive and well.
I wonder if he's rolling in that Richie Valens money. Who got that? The mom can't be around anymore.
Yeah, I don't know who's got that though, but he don't. He don't. Nah, he's poor as hell.
He's definitely not living off his $500 in art lessons.
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing.
I don't even know if Lou Diamond Phillips is still alive.
I don't know either. He's definitely not living off that Richie money either.
Lou Diamond Phillips is weird because have you like ever seen him in anything besides Young Guns and La Bamba? Anything else that he's in besides Young Guns and La Bamba, he's just really fucking creepy. Like he's just like
I never seen him in anything besides Young Guns or La Bamba. I don't think.
Like I don't. Maybe it's just me that thinks that way. And you're right. And it's probably because he only did like B movies after that. I don't think he really did much after that. But I've seen him in some like late night HBO films, like you know what I mean, where Lou Diamond Phillips would show up, and it's like pedophile creepy. Like this dude.
That just sounds creepy. Like yo, Lou Diamond Phillips in the show.
Yeah, if Lou Diamond Phillips shows up, the shit gets creepy.
Yo, that name sucks.
You know actually, his name probably was neither Lou, Diamond, or Phillips. Look at that motherfucker. His name was like Eduardo fucking Velez or something.
When Young Guns came out and he was in Hollywood, he was all cocky and shit. He's like just going by Diamond. Just call me Diamond, baby.
You could call me Diamond.
Just drop the Lou.
You might know me as what was his name in Young Guns? Fucking
Jose Chavez.
Chavez or something like that.
And you know how like when I see a true story on TV, I gotta research it. There really was.
I didn't know. Wait, I'm gonna have to say right now, I did not know that.
Oh yeah, because my computer just came out. So now this is what I do. It's a big thing of mine. Like if I'm watching a movie and it's a true story, or you could just tell me it's a true story. It doesn't have to really be one.
Right.
If you just tell me it is one, I'll like research the shit out of it to
right.
see like how accurate the movie was.
I'll
and,
do
like,
that too. Yeah.
What the true story was, but there really was a Jose Chavez. Chavez. That was his real name.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's that.
Did they really want them to send him out of the whorehouse?
I actually did a lot of research on it. And there really was a White Oaks in New Mexico where that whore lived. And they really didn't tolerate scum. That was like their big thing.
Did the chick go riding out naked on a horse?
Oh man, she had a sweet ass.
She did have a sweet ass, and she was a redhead. You guys listening at home will learn this, that I love redheads for some reason. I have no idea. Anyway,
and I'm the opposite end of that spectrum.
Yeah, you like the blackness.
I like them dark, not black, but dark.
Okay, you like the dark.
Not to sound racist or anything, because I'll take them black.
Well, you're dark. You're an Italian.
I'll take them.
I'm dark. God knows what I am. But I'm freaking a dark skinned fella. I'm not black, but a lot of. I was hanging out. When I was in North Carolina visiting my niece who was just born, and it was actually her first birthday party. So I guess she wasn't just born; she was born a year ago. And there was it's the South, and a bunch of people that my brother worked with and everything were there. And there was a black chick, and she was funny as shit. I found out later that she does stand up and stuff like that.
Was she hot?
No. Well, I shouldn't say that. She was a nice person. She wasn't. But I shouldn't sit here and be like, she wasn't ugly.
Was she hot? No, she was a nice person.
Well, I'm not going to sit here and say she wasn't hot.
I know.
She had like 10 kids, so somebody was enjoying it. But she was like, anybody ever tell you look Hispanic? And I was like, yeah, all the time. But she didn't think I was there at my family with my brother and my mom. Well, she didn't see my dad. Me and my dad, she didn't think I was part of the family. There's a photo. Okay, every time we bring up a photo now, I got to write a note so I could take a picture of these things and put it on the website along with these episodes so people could actually see it. But there's a photo. Those old-timey photos that you take at Six Flags or Disney World or whatever that, where you dress up like you're, pretty much
like you're Jose Chavez,
right? Or like you're. I don't know why people want to look like they're plantation owners, but they think it's gonna be cool. And the dude always has the cane and the hat, and the girl's always wearing the fucking skirt with the garter and shit. With
she's always a whore.
Yeah, right, exactly, because they were And there's a picture of that.
That was the only female profession in the late 1800s.
They say it's the earliest profession. I hate when people say that. No. We get it. Shut up. Anyway, so there's a picture of my father, my mother, my brother, who is 5 years younger than me. So I was probably 8 at the time. He was probably 3. He was rocking one of those little newsy caps and shit. You know what I mean? I'm in the background. And it just looks like a happy family and their slave boy. I'm so fucking dark that I'm blending. It's just my eyes, tink 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 tink.
Slave boy.
Yeah, it literally looks like the server boy got in the picture and was stunned to be there. I don't even know if I could find that. If I could find that, I'll put it up on the website with these. I don't know where this is going to air, really. I think my plan is to obviously put it on iTunes. We'll put it on SoundCloud. But ultimately, I want to have a home website with whatever the fuck the name of the show is going to be.
Just keep going with that.
So the ultimate plan is to have the website, and then we'll put the episodes up with a whole bunch of extra content on the website. Also, I want to have obviously we'll have all the social media requisites like Twitter and all that stuff. But I also am going to set up, as soon as we get a name, I'm going to set up a phone number that if people are listening, they could call in and say whatever the fuck they want. Obviously, the show isn't live; it's a podcast. But what could happen is you could call the number afterwards and harass us or do whatever the hell you want. And then if we find it enough to play, then we'll play it on the next show or something like that. So that's the plan. Anyway, so back where were we? No,
I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm
all over the road.
I look like a little slave boy.
But, you were a slave boy. And I think we were just talking about, when we started really hanging out, age 10, 11, I'd say, when we discovered the
Stickman comics,
the creative bond between us, we realized it meshed well.
Right. Yeah, the Stickman comics were were the thing.
That was a smash.
I would love to find those.
I
Yeah.
know, those things were awesome.
Yeah, and so basically, what the Stickman comics were was us taking our love for like movies like Airplane and shit like that, like shit that we found really funny, and we kind of just made our own. I remember the one thing I remember about the Stickman comics, and I still say this shit all the time. And nobody knows what I'm talking about, but you made a Stickman comic where Stickman killed Shaquille O'Neal, and Stickman said, "Feel steel, Shaquille O'Neal," and I mean, that's fucking great.
See, but that was my problem.
But also, I'm not a big sports guy. I watch one sport and that's it. And especially when I was that young, I was a big sports guy. So at that time, I had no idea who Shaquille O'Neal. To me, at that age, I think I thought you just made up the name Shaquille O'Neal. I was like, this dude's a genius.
Yeah, I just heard it somewhere. I didn't even know he played b-ball or anything. But that was my problem.
Did you know he was a true Fushnik, though?
I knew that before he was, because I was a Fushnik fan, but edit that.
Did you know he had Pakfu on his nameplate belt?
My problem with the Stickman comics was that, like, you would always like write these creative ones, and it had like a storyline, and then the comedy would come in, and it would be like original comedy. But my problem with the Stickman comics, it would be like movie reference, celebrity cameo, movie reference, and it would just be a mesh of all this crap, and there would be no storyline. And then I would just always leave like the title of the comic blank until the end, and then I would just scan through the pages and pick a random character and be like, Stickman meets Shaquille O'Neal.
I think you just described our podcast. That's literally what we're doing right now. I'm trying to keep some sort of linear line, and you're just spitting out shit, and we'll figure out a name fucking later when we hear it. What was the guy in that comic that had the crazy eyes?
Oh my God, Keith Torme.
Oh, is that a real person?
He's a real person.
Oh, all right. So maybe we shouldn't say his name. We're not making fun of him. I'm sure he's a cool guy.
I know.
I was gonna say
third person to sue us already.
I was gonna say Mel Torme.
That's a real person.
Yeah, I know, but I thought maybe you were just making fun of Mel Torme for some reason. But yeah, he always came up. There was this like big ass head, and I guess the funny thing about Stickman comics is that it's like in South Park when they use a real person's face. It's always funny because you're used to these cartoons. So like in Stickman comics, when somebody shows up and he has like a real body and like a big head and like actual features, yeah, you know what I mean. Like, yeah, we invented. I'm just gonna say right here, we invented South Park.
Pretty much, it had that flavor.
Except it was on paper in art class, and we were 10, and we can't find any of them, and we'll never make money off of it. But it was very funny.
Yeah, they were just hilarious. We would just take paper and like go into separate rooms and meet up and be like, "What'd you come up with?" And then we would just piss. I'd probably piss somewhere.
All right, so we're coming to the end of this. We got a few minutes left.
Really?
Yeah, it goes quick, right?
Yeah.
All right, so here's a question for you. So, all right, so I mean, I guess what we did is we talked about when we met each other and where we're from, and that's cool. Yeah. That's enough for you fuckers at home to deal with for right now. I promise you that this podcast is going to get weird. We're gonna talk about some shit, and we're literally, and this is for real. We're literally sitting here across from each other, across the table from each other, not have really been close friends for a while, right? This is the first time we're talking about this shit for a long time.
Yeah,
and there's reasons for that, and we're going to talk about that. And that's why I thought that this podcast would be a good idea, is because this has to be a universal subject, and the things that that we will talk about and everything is shit that people struggle through and all that stuff. And
as I crush Bruise on the mic.
No, whatever.
Yeah,
we can have a couple of beers. It's no big deal. Yeah. But yeah. So anyway, we're gonna get to all that. I promise you that it's gonna be interesting. I want to. Well, I guess I shouldn't wrap up yet. We still have a little bit of time, but. Thank you for anybody who actually downloaded this and listened to it. We appreciate that. We're going to give our best at this. Hopefully it's funny and entertaining. But here's a question I have for you, Richie. Do you want it to say Richie on the thing? So whenever we come up with a name with this, like the blah, blah, blah podcast is going to say with Devin and Ritchie. Or I probably shouldn't. I don't have that first spelling. It used to be Richie and Devin or whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Richie with a T?
Whatever.
Oh, I need to know these things.
Yeah, well, nah.
When we were in bands when we were younger, we misspelled our names because we thought it was punk rock.
Yeah.
My name is Devin with an I, and I spelled it with a Y, and you put a T in your name.
Because that's what Richie Valens did. It could have been worse. Could have been Ricky Zuela.
So here's something that I didn't figure out. So I'm going to ask you right now is, What song do you think we should end this thing with?
There's probably a couple of goodies.
I mean, and none of this is set in stone. This will definitely change. That first song we opened up with is a song called Moduli by Barefoot Shark, which is one of our favorite songs ever, and such a great beginning, so that's why we used it. And I'd love to use that forever, but who knows, that might change. But we definitely need something to go out on today, at least.
I'd like to go with 7 Seconds, One Big Guessing Game.
One big, okay.
I love that song.
Let me see if I can find that.
That's a good Exodus jam.
7 Seconds is actually playing soon someplace. I don't know.
The Get Up Kids just played too, like last week.
No. They're not. They're playing on. I saw them at the Stone Pony. They played in March, and they're playing at Starland on December 12th.
That's probably what I'm thinking of.
And I will be there, and you should too.
I thought it said like September something.
No, it's December 12th. Yeah. I haven't missed a Get Up.
Oh, did you see that interview with Fat Mike on that radio show?
Did
you watch
No,
that?
I haven't watched it.
It's pretty good.
All right. See, now we're just rambling. As you guys could tell, that we're big punk rock fans. That's basically the music that we played our whole life. Although, somebody asked me about the Grillers. The Grillers is our. I guess that could be our big. I guess that's our biggest band, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
it definitely was.
Yeah. So, I was getting my hair cut the other day at Chris Calabresi's place.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if that's how you pronounce his last name.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. And we can use his name because I'm promoting his
barbershop.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Front Street and Keyport.
Yeah, Front Street and Keyport, Calabresi Barbershop, awesome dudes. And this isn't a live read. We have no sponsors right now. This is some free shit that we're talking about right here. And yeah, awesome place. But anyway, we're there, and and Walsh was there. Oh, shit, I used his last name. Whatever. Yeah, let's just right. But and I was realizing that the dude who was cutting my hair and Chris and everything, we all knew each other from bands and stuff like that. And I totally lost what I was saying. What am I trying to say here?
The barber.
Oh, they were talking about. They were like, "What bands are you in?" And I was like, Lint, and one dude's like, I remember Lint, blah 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 blah. And then I was like, oh, in the Grillers. And then Chris, the guy Chris who owns the place, he was like, "You're in the Grillers?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "I was in the Gallows." Do you remember the band The Gallows?
Yeah.
Apparently they played with us a lot. You know what I mean?
A couple times at the Court Tavern. Remember that dude Sweaty Elvis?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in that band.
I think that might be Chris.
Oh yeah, that is Chris.
Yeah. He's the one that lived at Walsh, right?
Yeah, and now he lives in Keyport. Oh, that is Sweaty Elvis. Yeah.
Anyway, cool ass dude, an amazing barber. That have you been there? I know you're a barber yourself, but
I've never been in the place, but I know.
If you want to go get a haircut, it's unbelievable. It's
like that old fashioned.
But it's cool as shit because it's like. Well, it's like, it's like the black guys barbershops that you're like intimidated to go into because
but for white guys.
But yeah, but it's all punk rock dudes. So
right.
You sit there and literally we literally sat there and talked punk for an hour while
awesome.
the one dude Matt was in remember that band Storm Shadow?
No.
Yeah, they're around. He was the guy who was cutting my hair, and Chris was cutting Walsh's hair. And we all just Chris knows those dudes, but we all just realized that we know each other and played each other forever. So anyway, what I'm getting at is they're asking me about my bands, and I said I was in Lint, and they knew Lint. They knew that it was a 3-piece punk band, which is what Lint is, home listeners. And then they asked me what the Grillers were, and I was like,
Yeah.
So this is what I said to him, and I don't know if it makes any sense, but I just said it was kind of like an alternative hardcore band. I don't know,
Yeah, like what else could you say?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, remember that review we got in the Aquarian? The Aquarian, for everybody at home, is like a New York area newspaper that kind of just like review, like just does rock scene stuff. You know what I mean? And when our album came out, they put this review out on the album, and it literally, I think it named our album like 17 different types of music.
Really? I thought you were talking about the one that said that we sound like a mix between NoFX and the Lost Prophets.
I don't remember that, and I don't
remember that one.
And I
was
don't.
like, whoa.
I have no fucking clue who the Lost Prophets are. Who the Lost Prophets? Is that a dance group?
No, they sucked. They were around for a little bit. I mean, they were like a mainstream whatever that scene
Oh,
was.
so were they like one of those like story of the year or something like that? Like one of those bands who just like they weren't part of the scene, but they capitalized on the sound. Like they came out as a corporate band, like kind of thing. Like they weren't.
They were super corporate. Because like I was about to say, they're closer to like Godsmack than they are to Story of the Year. You know what I mean? They were like that.
God.
Like they were that corporate.
Ugh, that hurts me to hear that.
But they weren't. You know what I mean? But
yeah. I'll try to. I have those. I've saved a lot of stuff from when we were in bands. I'll try to find that because it's amazing the amount of shit the amount of adjective like music like genres that they use to describe that.
Yeah.
And I listened to that album recently, and they were fucking right. That album has no consistency. One song's a hardcore song, another song's like an emotional ballad, like another song is like a fucking. And I mean that's my fault. I wrote a lot of that stuff, so I mean I'm gonna take all the blame for that. Anyway, you guys don't want to sit here and listen about our bands. We'll talk about all that stuff later. So anyway, thank you all for listening to the first inaugural episode.
Did you find the song?
I did. I'm looking at it right here. It's on YouTube, and a nice chap named Millen Collins Skate Punk put it up there. So we're gonna have to trust this guy for his opinion on things. Yeah. So anyway, thank you everybody for listening to this. This was fun. We're gonna do a lot more of these. I hope you stick with it. So anyway, for the first episode, well, maybe that'll be our thing. What we'll do is we'll maybe pick a song. See, that's the thing though. I don't know about songs on this. Like I don't know what we can play and what we can't. But for right now, when nobody's listening to us or whatever, we're gonna play some songs. So for right now, we're gonna leave you with one of our favorite bands, 7 Seconds, and their song "Guessing Game" off of their album "Good to Go." Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Awkward High Five podcast. For more episodes, visit awkwardhighfive.com.